really strong market continuing. And I know we sound like broken records every time we talk about this because it just keeps going and going. And I guess that can really be a good thing in a city like this, that it is a strong market, also a bit of a tricky one. So we'll get into some of that today. But I want to start with where we are right now. We're in the stay-at-home order. So for anyone who's looking to buy or sell, what do those rules mean?
Yes, good morning, and thank you so much. I thought that the Twos song was very appropriate. Loved it. So thank you for that. We are at stay-at-home rules, as everybody knows. We are in full lockdown. Yet the first time that we were in lockdown, nothing has changed in the fact that realtors and real estate is deemed an essential service. And so right now, realtors are able to go to work, show homes, etc. And a lot of people, some people may not be comfortable with it, and yet there are people who do have to move, who are still being relocated into the Ottawa area, taking, we are still a Department of National Defense town. We have people coming in from Toronto, Vancouver. I have clients coming in from Montreal. So we are deemed essential workers. Now, having said that, there are definitely some rules that we are following in regards to real estate and the fact that we want to do it safely. And so there are protocols that all realtors are following right now to make sure that both our sellers and our buyers are being safe.
And what are they,
So
Colleen? What is it for the
Yep.
seller, first off? What does the seller have to do to make sure their house is safe for anyone wanting to go through?
Great question. And so there are two things that sellers are doing. One, some of them are even opting out to move out of the home during their showings in order that their exposure is minimized until their home sells. And so they are doing that. Additionally, we are using hand sanitizers at the door and when we leave, in addition to when you show your home, very different than before COVID, before lockdown, is the fact that we are not touching lights. So we are asking sellers to leave all their lights on if they do stay home. So leave all your lights on, leave your cupboard doors open. A lot of people are just like, don't touch anything. And so before our usual way to show a home would be leave a card, shut all the lights down and everything else. And realtors are now going into homes, not touching anything, leaving the lights on and making sure hand sanitizers are being used both at entrance and when we leave.
Yeah, and that's an interesting point, too, that you talk about for the buyer going into a home where in the past you would want to see how big that closet is or you'd want to see how deep those cupboards are, and you're not allowed to do that anymore. So if they don't leave them open, you're looking at the house differently now.
Yes, and so it's, a lot of times I will carry wipes with me, and so if we have to open a closet door or have to open a storage room, we are using wipes in order to touch the doorknob. Mm-hmm. The other thing that we are doing that may be inconvenient for certain buyers, and so is the fact that no children are allowed in the homes. It is simply the one or two buyers that are entering the home, mm-hmm. And sometimes it's not always easy to find a babysitter. So what I do a lot of times is that the buyers kind of tag team each other. Mom will go in first, then dad will stay by the car, and then they will switch.
Yeah.
But we're not allowing children in, both for their safety as well as kids like to touch things, and we want to make sure that everybody stays safe. And so only two buyers can enter the home. So long gone are the days of, well, I want to have mom see the house. I want to have dad show the house. It's not feasible anymore.
Masks are mandatory too, I understand, right, for going through a house, obviously, with the
Yes.
protocols. Okay, Colleen,
Absolutely.
we're gonna continue this conversation. Doing well in this city, but it's tough. I mean, there's not a lot of inventory out there, as we've heard you say before, and everyone's fighting for fewer homes. Is that still the case right now this week, here at the end of April almost?
It is, and I know it can be very, very frustrating for a lot of buyers, and we are getting a little bit of market fatigue, as we say, buyer fatigue. There's frustration out there with a lot of buyers, and we understand it. We're still seeing a lot of multiple offers. Not everything is going into multiples, surprisingly. We did see a little bit of a switch last week, and we wonder if it had to do a little bit with March break. We often see a slowdown with March break and with the lockdown. So there was a little bit of a lull, but we are fully expecting the market to stay strong right now.
So what's the uncertainty at this point with the market? I mean, are we worried that this is a bubble?
A lot of people are worried that it's a bubble. A lot of people I'm having conversations with individuals, even as recent as yesterday, saying, well, I'm going to wait till next year. I'm going to wait till next year. Well, if you honestly think about it, we don't see changes next year. We expect it maybe to balance out, and that year we may not be going into a multiple offer, but we don't expect there to be a bubble. We don't expect that the market will drop. If we think about it, let's say someone buys a home at 123 Main Street and they bought it for 600,000. Are they really going to want to sell it for less than that the following year? Absolutely not. So the expectation is that we will balance out, and we may not have as many multiple offers, but we definitely do not see a drop in prices.
Yeah, not a drop in prices and not a huge slowdown, right? I mean, it may slow down a bit, but there's no gas on or foot on the brake at all at this point.
No, we don't expect so. And so it's really important, even though I understand that people are frustrated, yet we're just catching up. Ottawa is now playing with the big boys, right? All you hear about on other programs is Toronto and Montreal and how they're Vancouver and how they're such a hot market. No one ever mentions Ottawa.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny because we're actually the hottest market right across the whole country. So I always find it we often fly under the radar.
Not anymore. Things have changed.
No.
Like you say, we're playing with the big boys now. Okay, so that brings me to the next point, which I know you've said this before, Colleen. I find it interesting. Just because it's very much a seller's market doesn't mean you could just put that for sale sign out on the front of your house, on the lawn, without doing a little bit of work to really make sure you get the best bang for your buck in your home that you normally would have to put in, and I'm talking staging. So you're still recommending people stage. What is your advice for staging right now? Do you have to do as much as you would have done before the market hits such a competitive level?
100%. There are three key components when selling your home, and you can't get away with leaving one, two, or three out. So when you are looking to sell your home right now, there are three really important components that makes for a successful sale. The first one is how it's priced, obviously. Everybody wants, to get the most bang for their buck, but you can't ask for more than what the market will determine. So it doesn't matter what one agent or seller says what the home is worth. The market will actually decide on what the home is worth. So it's really important, number one, to price your home properly. Number two is exactly what you said, is a marketing plan. And really important is that a marketing plan is reviewing the profile of buyers and sellers. And then with that data, then we adapt our marketing strategy and resources to find a seller the most buyers, right? It's really, really important to do that. It's about that online presence. Did you know that what was really interesting, the National Association of Realtors came out with a stat last year, and it said that 30% of the success of your sale is about the realtor that you choose, mm-hmm. and 44% is about your online presence.
Wow, interesting.
So those two components. And then just like you said, the third component about selling home properly is literally about staging.
Yeah.
You can't get away with it because if you I find it interesting when I see some homes on online and they have, we all live, in a real world, but when you sell a home, you're selling a product.
Yes.
And it's the most expensive product that you have, right? So clear off your counters. I find it kind of ironic, and people talk about it all the time. You can tell when a home's not staged, and you can tell when a home is staged. And staging gets you more money in your pocket. And so a good realtor will offer staging consults, free staging. It's it's all about how you show. It will get you more money.
Yeah, bottom line right there. All right, Colleen, we're going to take a quick break. For anyone who has any questions, now's the time to get them to Colleen. You can give us a call at 613-789 right now. And what we have to do to, I know I like to say get the best bang for your buck. I mean, we're going into multiples still. We're still seeing not a lot of inventory out there. So what's your best piece of advice for people right now who are either sellers or buyers in a market that I feel like we haven't seen ever before in Ottawa?
No, it is a market that we haven't seen. Being in the industry for, almost 13, 14 years now, it is something that even as a professional is very frustrating. And you're right, Annette, we sound like a broken record every time. Yet I know that people want to hear if there's going to be a change or not, and they want to be educated. And so the biggest thing that I would say, if you're looking to buy, if you're looking to sell, very much so, hire a realtor. We are there to help guide you through the process. And, and it's never too early to engage a realtor. It's never too early. I love to talk to people. I'm meeting people now where I'm not selling their house till next year because they need to create that plan. And with buyers, we need time with you. We need to guide you through the process because it may take more than one or two or three tries before we can find you that home. And so it's really important to get the biggest education dollar for your mindset,
Yeah.
basically.
We're seeing homes going in the city for $100,000 over asking, even more than that. And I heard recently someone say, the asking price is almost doesn't even matter anymore because it's going so far above that that you almost have to consider that you'll have to factor in so much more. I mean, this is something we've typically seen for years now in the GTA. It's happening here. What are your thoughts on that?
It's funny that you bring that up. I was having a conversation with a colleague of mine yesterday afternoon, and we were gauging and bantering a little bit about what was going on in the market. And he shared something very interesting with me. And again, I understand how fatigued buyers are at this point. It can be very frustrating. And he said something really interesting, right at the beginning of the year, just like you said, Annette, people are saying, well, I've got, I am going to spend 100,000 over asking, and therefore people are budgeting that way. And that's also, though, if you take on the flip side, some people get angry with realtors and say, well, you're pricing really low. No, not necessarily the case. Case in point, what's really interesting, I was calling this gentleman about a particular townhome, and it was priced well. I thought a little bit low, and he said, well, because the expectation is 100,000 over asking. If you think about it, let's say if he priced it 100,000 over asking, people are not going to offer 100,000 over that. It's just a really bizarre thing. So let's say, for example, I was selling a home for that I expect will go around 550. If I list it at 550, ironically, people are not going to be excited about it because they're thinking that they have to buy it at 650,
right,
which is unreasonable.
Right.
And so we're the profession is also trying to figure out, what tactic is, and it's frustrating for everybody. like we're hoping that the mindset of buyers will change a little bit of sellers, because sellers are expecting to get 14, 15, 16 offers. We're not seeing that as much, but it also doesn't mean that you can ask 100,000 more than what your home is really worth, because A, the market will decide it, or B, the bank will say it's not worth it and the deal will fall apart.
Yeah, it's interesting stuff. I know it's difficult for realtors at this time because, like you say, the market dictates what happens, right? What people sell and buy for is how everything goes. So it's interesting. Fascinating conversation. As always, great to chat with you, Colleen. Thank you so much. And there's all the information on your screen if you'd like to contact her. If you have any questions, if you're looking for a realtor and you need some advice, her information is right there, ColleenLyle.com.